Welcome, friends, to this reflection for Tuesday in the fifth week of Lent. The Gospel passage for today from John chapter 8 forms part of a larger section in the Gospel of John, which presents a long argument between Jesus and the religious leaders of his day. The language is hard-hitting and seemingly uncharacteristic of Jesus. In terms of this, two things that we can reflect on are, firstly, that we should not underestimate the conflict between Jesus and the religious leaders of his day. They were out to destroy him, and this sentiment is reflected in the language of the arguments that Jesus had with them. Secondly, and much more positively, in the words of the last verse from today's Gospel passage, as Jesus was saying this, many came to believe in him. We see that Jesus' firm telling of the truth convinced many of his listeners, including, we can suppose from this line, many of the religious leaders he was arguing with. The dispute that Jesus had with them is largely centered on Jesus' true identity and his relationship with the Father. In today's Gospel passage, Jesus presents himself as the Son of the Father, sent by the Father himself. There's an intimate relationship and unity between the Father and the Son. Jesus says that faith in him as the Son of God assures us of true life. Jesus' argument culminates in the words, "When you have lifted up the Son of Man, then you will know that I am he." This is, of course, a reference to the lifting up of the bronze serpent by Moses in the desert after the escape from Egypt, which saved those who had been bitten by the serpents. Jesus will be lifted up on the cross and in the resurrection of the dead. We know him in this. For us, this is another challenge to consider again the identity of Jesus as the Son of God, who has the power to conquer sin and death and lead us to true and eternal life. This Lent, we have been reflecting on the reality of sin in our lives. We realize that we have an inbuilt weakness which threatens our happiness and our well-being as human beings. We have the capacity to hurt ourselves and others. In Jesus, we have the medicine for our woundedness. Next Friday, Good Friday, we will recognize anew the remedy for our sinfulness in Jesus lifted up on the cross. In today's Gospel passage, in terms of the relationship between the Son and the Father, Jesus says, "I always do what pleases him." And so we understand that Jesus' whole life is one continuous act of self-offering to the Father. His sole aim is to live as a truly beloved Son, with whom the Father is well pleased. At the beginning of Lent, when we considered the temptations of Jesus in the wilderness, there was the telling statement that the devil departed only to return at the appointed time. This gives us the insight that Jesus was constantly tempted, as we are, with the basic temptations to material sufficiency, power, and glory. But Jesus sought constantly to do what pleased the Father. He faced human rejection and apparent failure, finally culminating in his arrest, unjust sentencing, sufferings, crucifixion, and death. This was pleasing to the Father not in itself, but as part of his plan to redeem the world. In this, Jesus demonstrated the greatest depth of love of God and people. With the eyes of faith, we see Jesus lifted up. We see Jesus, the Son of the Father, in his love for us, and we see our salvation. May God bless you all.